That probably didn't help. All right, I'm going live.
Cost-cutting measures.
Praise Jesus. Praise Jesus. We're live. Ooh, girl. You know it's true.
I just don't understand. Due to cost-cutting measures, and you've already spent $90 million on the fucking thing.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't make any sense, Doug.
I disagree.
Doug.
You got the questions, we got the answers.
Oh yeah, we're just gonna do this now.
Practical.
This is a tough one.
Ask Practical Doug.
Practical Doug. How the fuck does this make sense?
I mean, the only way I could see this is if they have a larger strategy in mind that will hopefully pay off, more so than the $90 million, although they are struggling to get the new Flash movie squared away because Ezra Miller keeps assaulting people left and right.
Right.
So it's what's concerning about this from like a universe perspective is Michael Keaton was supposedly supposed to be in the Batgirl thing, and he's also going to be potentially in the Flash. Like, that's a huge linchpin.
Yeah.
It's a giant linchpin in their sort of multiverse saga. Like, and if you can't get this shit out there, it's just, I don't know, man. I think that's kind of dumb. In case you're wondering, we're talking about Batgirl, the film. Got shit canned at Warner Brothers. $90 million they spent on it. It was supposed to be an HBO Max exclusive. It wasn't going to go to the theaters, and then they decided, nah, we're not going to do it. And they just stopped it. And it's in the vault.
It hurts.
I mean, I can't imagine putting in all that effort to not have anybody see it. I don't care if I were to make the worst film in history. I would still want someone to see it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because that's how you know it's the worst film in history. Is people can judge it,
How else are you going to get that title?
Right? If no one sees it, you can't. You can't. You won't even know.
Right.
That's wild, man.
That's ridiculous to me. I mean, and I was thinking too. I'm like, did they want to focus on Flashpoint and these other but again, it's fucking done. If it's done, what the I don't know.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Just saw that before we went live.
DC is just repeatedly kicking themselves in the balls.
Yeah, man.
They're doing it to themselves at this point.
Yeah, I don't know, man. They're the Universal Studios to Disney's, theme park. They're just trying to copy it the worst way possible. Zinni, how are you, my dear? I'm sorry you are not well.
Sorry, sickly meow, cough, cough. I don't have a dying cat on here. How's that?
There you go. There you go.
Theater of the mind.
That's
Anyone
right.
who's listening to this on the podcast version is just, they're not because we haven't started rolling yet.
That's true. So
bingo.
Pow, pow, pow. Pow, 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 pow. Pow, pow, pow. I'm so sick of phlegm cough. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I hear you. You seems like you've been sick for a while, Zinni. I hope you can shake it this time. Like you're Maverick and there's a MiG on your tail and you're trying to outflank it so that it doesn't get, tone and then lock on you and then fire those missiles, Goose! No! Oh, man. I heard the wildest story about how the director for Maverick pitched Tom Cruise in 4 lines and got him to agree to do the movie.
Okay. What is it?
I don't know if I remember all of it, but it was pretty wild when I heard it on a podcast. It was essentially because, you got to keep in mind, people have been pitching Top Gun 2 for 30 years.
Right.
And Tom Cruise has always been like, no. So you got to ask yourself, how did someone get him to say yes? And I think the first one was essentially that it was gonna. I haven't seen the film, by the way, so I don't. Yeah. I look forward to watching it when it comes out on streaming. But I guess the first line was, it's not about. It's about Maverick and building the relationship with Goose's son Rooster, which I just keep laughing at that his call signs Rooster. Like my dad, Rooster, cock-a-doodle-doo.
Avian themed.
I think it was going to open with Maverick like breaking Mach 10 or some shit like that and going like the fastest everyone's ever gone in a jet. And I forget, like there was like a couple other, I can't remember what the other two were, but I mean, before the meeting, this guy flew out to Paris to meet with Tom Cruise. And the night before, Tom Cruise called the director and said, "Hey man, I just want to let you know, regardless of how the meeting goes, I just want you to know that, you know, I think you're great. You know, I love your work. I think you do a great job." And the guy was basically like, "Fuck, he's not going to say." He's basically like,
Right.
"Let me down early now." Like he's already
teeing it up.
Yeah, he's basically like, "Oh shit." So he lays this out, like he gives them these 4 things, and Tom Cruise essentially was like, "Hey, get the producer on the line. We're making this movie." Like just in that moment, he's like, "Let's do this." I'm like, "Holy shit!" Like how fucking nuts would that have been to pull that off?
I would have probably vomited from nerves like
Yeah.
that. When there's a lot riding on the line there. You know what I mean? You just flew to Paris.
You're meeting with Tom Cruise.
You're meeting with Tom Cruise, yeah, and then about this, yeah. Oh man, that's a lot of
No pressure.
yeah, no pressure.
It's all good, you know. And just knowing that this is a franchise that has been pitched ad nauseum to him, you know it has. I'm sorry, I'm getting a little bit of echo on my end, so I'm going to go ahead and do what I did before, which is disconnect and reconnect. I'll be back shortly. I'm glad we're doing this before we hit record.
Absolutely, yeah. We appreciate it. We appreciate you even stopping by. I don't know if people can still hear me when you dip out. So
I don't think so, but
I was telling Zinni that we understand and we appreciate her even stopping by.
right, even though she's sick, that means the world to us, you know.
We'll get some rest. We'll get some good rest, and we will soldier on.
I'm glad I could at least figure out a workaround whenever this happens. I'm like, just disconnect and reconnect, you know? Just like the router. All right, let's start recording.
Okay.
We're burning up stuff. We're burning up the sun.
I
So,
was gonna say, I just found the article where they talk about the reasons. But
oh, nice. Maybe we can get back into it. All right. And recording in 3, 2, 1. Hello and welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I am Doug.
I am Justin.
And welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I did that
I just
weird.
wanted you to keep looping it.
And welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. Yeah, I was like, we'll do something different. I'm like, wait a minute. I said this in a weird way. Hey, welcome. We're glad you're here. You can't fault us for trying. You can fault us, you know, give us poor marks for failing, because we do that a lot. But, you know.
But that's okay. There is no success without failure. That's what someone said one time.
It's true. Someone said that, you know.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Someone put that on the pillow.
Someone put that on a pillow. They sewed it onto a pillow. And they said, look at this. Read this pillow, bitch.
This pillow.
Read this. Cry into this every night.
Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of inspirational, but also, you know, you're going to fail.
Yeah, you're going to fail, you loser.
Right. Rest your failing head on this pillow.
Yeah. Why don't you wipe your tears off on this, you little crybaby?
That's right.
Yeah.
Take this into the shower and get it wet.
That's right. Get it wet. Because you know what? This isn't something you wash, Dan.
No.
Dan, you don't wash these kinds of pillows. You shouldn't even be laying on these pillows. Why are you listening to me? You're a failure. These are the pillows you don't touch in this weird room in our house that is somehow like a museum. You're not allowed to sit on the couch. Like it's like some sort of sitting room. You go in there and you're like afraid to be in there. You can't wear your shoes in there. It's like spotless, but no one uses it. It's like, why do we have this space in our house? This is dumb, Mom. Why?
The room is packed with as many breakable things as possible, as if to tempt fate.
I hate it. I hate those.
Did you have one of those? In your
Oh
house?
yeah, we had one of those.
Yeah.
In especially like when we moved, we had this house. It was like the library, and
The library.
and for
Did
the
it
longest
have
time,
a book?
it did have books in there. It was decorated, but no one used it for anything. It was like it was right at the front door. You turn left, and like it was like a sitting room, you know, a welcoming area.
Absolutely.
It had piano in there for a while and whatever, and whatever. And then eventually we had our computer in there, so then it got used because that's where you'd go to use the computer and jerk off. But
naturally,
but I was always it always seemed dumb to me, like that old idea of this is the place where we sit to talk to guests. This is the formal dining room where we will sit down with our guests. My mom has china, like fine china at some fucking place. And she's like, this will go to you and Jill when I die. I'm like, cool. And it will go right in the garbage because I don't want it. Like, this is such an old fashioned idea of like fine china for your wedding, in which we will never use. No one's ever used it because it's not functional. Practical Doug does not approve this message.
Boom.
Take it back.
We didn't have one of those rooms in our house, but my aunt did. And that same thing, I could never understand. I was terrified to step foot over the threshold because I looked in there. I'm like, everything in here is spotless and very, very breakable. And I was like, this is a nightmare room for me because I don't know what to do. As a kid, I'm like, I don't know what to do with this room. I don't know how to process this.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you say that it is, this is where we used to formally sit and talk with guests because as Beth and I are looking at houses up here in Grand Rapids, a lot of the houses that were built around the 1900s have a layout, like 1900 to 1910, they have this layout where you can see the flow of the evening. Like you'd welcome someone in and you had a parlor or you had a welcome area that then moved out to the parlor. And there were like, you could see where they would have had a curtain or a door that they would have closed off the welcome area, but the dining room was closed too. So like you had their drinks here and you talked, and then you opened that and you moved into the dining room, and the dining room was separate from the kitchen and there was usually like a dumbwaiter area where the staff would bring out. And it's wild to be able to actually map how a social evening went in those houses. And I feel like in newer houses, these rooms that we're talking about is like it's a vestige of an old time that people are hanging on to the tradition, but the houses just aren't set up the same way, so it's just weird.
It's like, what do we do with this room? Like it's so weird, it's bizarre. Yeah, I
need a formal room.
I've always hated that stuff. I hated it when I was younger because even then maybe that was again another seed in which Practical Doug was born. Was just looking at this being like, why do we have this room?
Right,
this room serves no purpose. And if you brought it up, my mom would be like, "Well, this is." I'm like, whatever you tell me is not gonna. It's not gonna make sense because we're not using this room. This room is not useful. We should find a use for this room, and this is not it. Like, this is dumb. But anyway, we're so glad you're here, and gang, if you want to support the podcast, honestly, like and subscribe on YouTube. It means the world to us. It's free and it helps us so much. We're at 200 subscribers. We were at 201, but I happen to think that the fart shorts last week may have turned one of those people off, and we lost one. To which I say, I get it. I really do.
Look,
yeah.
The fart soundboard's not for everybody, and so we appreciate you trying us out. And if it didn't fit, no worries.
Yeah, if you're like, hey, this is too much fart content, I get it. I'm never going to hold that against you. I understand. I say this oftentimes. People are like, hey, man, friends will be like, hey, man, I'm sorry I don't listen to your podcast. I'm like, you're not required to. It's not a prerequisite for our friendship. I get it. It's not for everyone. I know one of my wife's friends was like, I should listen to your podcast. I'm like, well, if you like dumb, silly shit, yeah, come hang out. No problem. I go, just know what you're walking into. It's not, I'm not beating up on our show. I know what our content is. We have a fart soundboard. So what do you want? Like, if you're cool with that, come hang out. You'll fit in.
I was doing a presentation. We do every month at my 9-to-5 job. We do a presentation of it's a show and tell. So they go, you talk about a project you're working on or something that you're doing, so the rest of the department just kind of knows what everyone's working on. And I went this last time, I think it was last week, and at the end, my boss was just like, someone commented, they were like, hey, is this your voice on the videos? And if so, awesome. And if not, how are you making that voice? And I was like, yes. I said, it is my voice. Background's on radio. I said, I can switch it on if needed. And my boss was just like, oh, I should mention too, speaking of his voice on radio, he has a podcast that he does every week to like the larger department. So, and I go, thank you for that. I will preface that by saying it's extremely not safe for work. So tread lightly. And then, so if anyone from work is listening, how do, and I apologize ahead of time for what you're about to hear.
Welcome. Glad you're here. I had the same thing happen last week where Natalie goes, Dad, today we went to the roller rink and I told Miss Rachel that about Mind Gap podcast. And I was like, oh, hey, you're marketing the show for me. Thanks. Jill just started laughing. And I was like, you know what? I say thank you. You're putting my show out there. Yeah. I don't think Miss Rachel's going to like it. I don't know Miss Rachel, but I don't think she's going to like this show at all. But thank you. Because she goes, I have girls' night with Mom because Dad does his podcast. Because even when I'm streaming video games, it's still the podcast. And the teacher was like, oh, podcast, what is it? He's like, she knows. She goes, Mind Gap podcast, which really, I was like, you know what? I don't say that a lot around her, but she knows what it is. I'm like, thank you.
There's something special about
That's very kind of you for knowing that. So I'm like, hey, way to promote it. But I always just say, hey, listen, lower your expectations. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, support us. Like, subscribe on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. Rate, review. All that stuff means the world to us. If you'd like to support us financially, patreon.com/MindGapPodcast, or you can check out some of our merch, redbubble.com. Type in Mind Gap Podcast. You'll find us there. And I want to shout out the people who are our patrons, our PPs, Tom McIntyre, Richie Armour, Zinni, Slotty Bartfast, Almighty Crit. Thank you so much for supporting our glorious cause for global domination. It's good. Also, if you want to connect with us even further, check out our Discord. The link is in the description down below on our YouTube channel. And you could be one of the cool people that gets to hang out with us and all the other cool people that you hear and see a lot on the video game streams that are guests on our shows. It's wonderful. It's a great community. I love everyone in there. Tonight, Wolf's Lore made me laugh really, really hard with a meme that shouldn't have made me laugh hard at all. But it was, I'm going to say it. I don't know if it'll have the same effect, but it might. It was a picture of the new Riddler from the Batman movie, like in his mask, and it's like kind of grainy. It says, riddle me this, Batman. When will Microsoft Edge be allowed to Microsoft come? And it made me laugh really hard. So if that's the kind of content you're looking for, come on over to the Mind Gap Discord. It made me laugh really fucking hard. And I don't know. And it was really good. So check out our Discord. And we do live stream our podcast on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central. And I host a video game stream on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central. Come check us out. We did Ultimate Chicken Horse last Saturday. I did terrible.
Yes. I was going to say, how did that go?
I had one game where I got second, and I was thrilled. The rest of the time, I'm like, this is dog shit. I'm so bad at this. But it was very high. It's highly entertaining. Always a good time. There will be no video game stream this Saturday because I'm going to be somewhere special. I'm going to be visiting Justin up in Grand Rapids. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
We're going to be together in real life.
And Justin does not have a gaming computer that will facilitate that stream.
I don't think I'd like to break away from my visit to be like, all right, dude, for the next 2 hours to be playing PC games. Like, it seems kind of rude. Like, hey, man.
I'm just saying, we could have played together.
I suppose, yeah. That's okay, I see what you're saying right there. That could be cool. But, yeah, someday we'll have that and it'll be good.
Someday.
So that's all the good stuff. That's the housekeeping. Justin, how was your week, buddy?
My week was good. My family was up. That I had to think what happened. We've got a busy string of weeks. The last week, my family came up from the Quad Cities and visited, and it was amazing. My dad, my stepmom, my sister, and we got to show them around and had a really great time. I have not seen them since January, so it was really good to see them again and get to show. They loved the area. They loved all the stuff that we showed them. So Beth and I always take that as like, that's a win. We got another one so far. We're batting 1,000. So
nice.
That's all right by us. And then you guys are coming up this weekend, and then Hague is actually going to be swinging through on Monday the 8th. So we've just got people, man.
Trying to tell you, man, you all are the glue in the social security is what I said.
The social security.
You're the glue in the social security scam that these criminals are running. You pull people in, you keep them there, and I don't know. Do you have a good time? And maybe you go to jail. I don't know. We'll find out.
I don't know. It's Grand Rapids. Anything happens. Anything goes.
Anything happens. Anything happens in Grand Rapids.
in Grand Rapids.
That's
it
what they
almost
say.
rhymes.
It almost rhymes. Anything happens in Grand Rapids.
In
It's one of those
Grand
annoying not rhymes. You're like, hey,
Yeah.
oh shit, that doesn't actually rhyme, but tricks your brain into thinking that it does. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And then I also found out that I dislike disc golf players. Yes, Beth and I were touring a house, and we popped off to a park near the house to call our realtor and have a chat with them. And as we were there, we didn't realize that a part of the park was used for disc golf, the stupidest game ever to be invented, in my assessment. Currently,
What you mean? Not even real life Quidditch? It's dumber than real life Quidditch, which I think they're calling quad ball now to distance themselves from J.K. Rowling.
Oh, are they?
Yep.
Okay. Yes. Currently, yes. Disc golf is the worst. So we were standing there. What I thought was off the green, right? I thought, like, after I noticed that I thought we were off the green, and I look up, and all of a sudden there's this disc head right for us, and Beth thinks that it was an erroneous throw. She thinks that it was a wild card throw. I think someone was trying to send us a message. I think they were trying to push us off the course. So I tried to move out of the way of the disc. I should have gone left. I went right. I was standing next to a giant oak tree, roots coming out of the ground, and I just biffed it. And I cut up my arm and cut up my leg and twisted my left ankle, and I was very displeased. And, look, I fell. We were standing there. I fell, yada, yada. Not one person on that disc golf course said, hey, man, you okay? That looked like it hurt. Not even an acknowledgement. And so from that point forward, I was like, you know what? Disc golf people are dead to me. Fuck them. Fuck them all.
So once you know, when I leave Grand Rapids, that disc golf course will be like, I'll be like the Joker lighting the pile of money on fire. That place will burn.
Smoldering.
Yeah. Be smoldering. Scorched earth politics, my friend.
I told Beth, I said, here's the one thing that Doug and I are finally going to be able to agree on in the what is a sport debate. Disc golf, not a sport. Not even a cool hobby.
Wow. Those are some dark words from the Strand.
Just saying, Doug, how was your weekend?
It was pretty good. We're getting our patio redone, so
It looks fantastic,
which is great. I think we're almost able to get on it like all the time. Matt, is it Fabracci? Disco is dead. Disc golf should be. I'm with you.
Amen.
My friend. Although I'll have to say this, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Disc golf looks somewhat interesting. I would be shitty at it. I'm not good at throwing for accuracy, but
if you have the desire to play disc golf, you should just go to the park and play catch with the frisbee.
I'd rather do that personally.
Initiate that need, and you're done.
Because going back to it, I've seen there's a disc golf place right by my house, and there's a playground where Natalie goes, and I see people play. There's a very distinct group of people that go, and they take it very seriously. Like they're there to play. They do warm up throws. They've got like all their different, they have a driver and a putter and shit like that. Like
they've got like a whole bag that's got like looks like a record. It's like a whole like different discs in there, like just lined up.
It's pretty legit.
When we lived in Grant Park or downtown in the South Loop in Grant Park, there were people who would go, that giant softball field down there, that like the the giant field with like 6 softball diamonds where Lala is. There's people who would go there and they would hardcore practice there. You would see them like it's almost like they were going to do discus. Like they would like warm up and then like they would take their hop and throw it. And I'm like, relax.
Yeah. Right. Take it easy, man. Disc golf for people with no friends to play catch.
Yes, it is.
They're like, I'll see if I can hit this thing and I can be cool.
Matt gets us.
Matt, I'm glad you're here. Welcome. My weekend was pretty good. We're getting our patio redone. So we've had to stay off it, which was kind of been a pain in the ass with Loki and stuff like that. But we're dangerously close to being able to use it, and then we're going on vacation. So, there we go. Yeah. But did have something really fun, and I want to bring this up. Last night, in process, like we had to get everything off of our old patio, and one of the things we had was an umbrella that was weighted down by sandbags. And I had to disassemble this thing, take the sandbags out. And in doing so, I dropped the sandbag because it was really heavy and it busted open at the seams. So we had to go and try to find a way to fix it. So our idea was to use duct tape to do it. So after dinner last night, Jill goes, "Hey, don't forget, we need to go in the backyard and we need to duct tape those sandbags." And I was like, "Whoa, it's a school night and other people can see us. I think we need to pull it back on that kind of talk." And of course she started giggling and, we had a good laugh about it. I was like, that sounds like a euphemism, like a very sexually aggressive, I'm going to go duct tape your sandbags. Like, that's like, whoa, this is our 30th anniversary. She's going to duct tape my sandbags.
Woo!
Up top,
I like that.
And it's for me, it's going to be a euphemism that I keep using. Like, and I'm going to spread it. It's going to, I'm going to put it on Urban Dictionary. I don't know exactly what it means yet.
I'm going to spread it
so they can get it.
Yeah.
So if I need your help,
sandbags.
What would duct taping your sandbags be as far as like a sexual move? If you were going to duct tape someone's, because we've got things like the rusty trombone and things like that. If you're because the act of duct taping is like you're like pressing and you're trying to hold something together and you're duct taping. I'm thinking, I don't know, is it like kind of like tucking your sack back a little bit, maybe?
Duct taping your sack. Well, it depends who's saying it to who. Like,
right?
It, because the first thing I'm thinking is sandbags are boobs, right? So how do you?
Oh, see, I was thinking they were balls. Like,
see, that's a tea bag to me.
That's true. Oh, so okay, I didn't even consider the breasts and this duct taping to sandbags.
I'm just thinking.
I'm gonna flatten them down.
Like, what is?
Let's duct tape those sandbags. I need this flat. Let's go. They're too big. Or maybe
be what it is.
Or I'm gonna craft a bra out of duct tape. Let's duct tape these sandbags. Let's get you the support you deserve.
Let's get you. This is the support you deserve. Yeah.
Jesus,
when you
Slotty.
remove the hair from male testicles while giving him a blowjob,
You know what? That's also pretty. In case you can hear Justin mumbling that out because he's kind of concerned about where it's going. He says, "When you remove the hair from a male's testicles while giving him a blowjob on the toilet."
Yeah.
The toilet part is one thing. I'm like, does it need to be in the toilet?
Yeah. Why does I don't understand if that's integral to the definition.
I feel like the location doesn't matter. Maybe a construction site. The hairless blumpkin. Jesus Christ. That leads to the hairless blumpkin. Like,
that's true.
Yeah, this is a two-parter. Duct taping the sandbags is the prerequisite for the hairless blumpkin. They both don't need to be on the toilet, Slotty.
The toilet's not necessary for any of this.
No, it's not. The blumpkin, yes, not for the duct taping the sandbags. Like,
oh my god. Speaking of, I got an aside. Speaking of, I promised him I would bring this up, and he said don't, but I'm gonna.
I love it. I'm super engaged.
He didn't say don't, but I think he'll be.
He said I'll sue you if you do this.
My dad sent. He sent. So we were texting him as they were coming up here, and this is for us in this show. This is very vanilla, but for him it was mortifying. So we were texting him, what's your ETA, this, that, and the other thing, and he sent up. He meant to send this to his buddy, who was asking him. For some reason, they were having a discussion about the phrase "jangle junk." Have you ever heard of the phrase "jangle junk"?
Jangle junk. Nope.
So he sent a screenshot of the Urban Dictionary definition for jangle junk to my stepmom, my sister Beth, and me, and
I just looked up the definition.
Is big dangly balls. His jangle junk makes his cock look small. And so immediately he was like, oh no.
Oh, that's amazing.
Super worried that he offended Beth or that. And I was in tears laughing.
You're like, Dad, you know who I am, right? I'm your son.
Just like, so he goes, you should ask Doug if he knows what jangle junk is. And I will. Don't. Yeah.
Mike, thank you. Because apparently this was, submitted by B Rent in April 8th, 2004. This is old. This is old news.
Yeah.
I didn't know what jangle junk meant.
The thing is, I'm like, look, my dad continues to teach me things, and I'm ever, ever grateful for it.
You always have to be a continuous learner. That's always what it is. You know, conscious learner. Absolutely. That's hilarious. Yeah. Well, I just think of the time where for Thanksgiving one year, my mom sent a group text to the family, which is my Dad, my brother, and I. And she's like, Happy Thanksgiving. And she sent like a black fist, a brown fist.
Yep.
And my brother was like, yeah, Black Power. And she's like, what? And we're like, that's a black fist. And she goes, oh, I thought it was a turkey. And she had sent that to a lot of her friends. She's like, Happy Thanksgiving. And it was a brown fist.
Oh,
to this day, it's one of my favorite things ever. I just...
Chris.
My brother's response was all caps. He's like, "Yeah, Black Power."
And I'm sure she was so confused.
She was so confused, and then she was mortified because she realized what she had been sending to people. I thought it was a turkey.
Well, there you go. So look, some people's turkeys.
It's another people's, movement.
Yeah.
Gobble gobble, motherfucker.
Gobble gobble.
So anyway. Duct tape the sandbags. I want to one of the topics I want to talk about because it's been really it's been really ripping the hairs out of my balls, if you will.
There you go. You've been ripping the hairs out of your jangle junks.
On my jangle junks. Is the Andor trailer came out just yesterday, and if you're not familiar, Andor refers to Tim Andor, who works at the Space Home Depot in the Star Wars universe, which I have to commend Disney. They found this partnership with Home Depot, and they're building a Star Wars series around it. So that's where I will give them credit because I think that's creative.
It's creative. Like people say Hollywood doesn't have any new ideas, and this is a way to prove them wrong. This is really, really, not only is it creative, it's wonderful to give back to a brand that has given so much to all of us.
I couldn't agree more. The lumber,
right?
For me, the Traeger, like smoker pellets that I get over there.
Come on.
The shovels that I've gotten. Yeah. I got my battery-powered snowblower, lawnmower, and weed trimmer from there. Do you know how much money I've saved over the long term with the way gas prices are?
Right.
Fucking killed it.
Thanks to Home Depot.
Thanks, Home Depot. Thank you.
Yeah. So
this episode Disney brought to you by Home Depot. No, this show is about if you remember, I don't know, the character from Rogue One, the guy that's like, "Hello, I am Andor. We are rebels now." I think that was a perfect. Spot on. Spot on. This is what this is I'm just gonna sum it up. It's a prequel show to a prequel movie. And I couldn't think of anything more unnecessary than this goddamn show.
Said that, I was like, my God. Because I knew what it was and what story it was following. But when you put it in those terms for the first time, I was like, that is the best and also worst description. Like, it made me so angry. And like I told you, Beth asked, she goes, what are you guys talking about tonight? And they go, we're talking about the Andor, which is a prequel show to a prequel movie. And she's like, oh my God, people really are running out of ideas. I was like, yes, they are.
And it's the most egregious thing because this is Star Wars. We have, there are endless opportunities to tell stories. If we look at the animated shorts that came out last year that were on Netflix, that were Star Wars shorts, that by itself, the extended universe, like there's so much to explore. And they're like, you know what we need? We need to figure out how this guy really started the rebellion with these other people.
Right.
And my beef with this, as it is with most prequels, is all the tension from the show is just gone. Like, I know Tim Andor will make it through so that he can get into Rogue One and then he'll die at the end of that movie. Spoiler alert. Like, Bill Skarsgård is, there. And will he survive? I don't know. I also don't care because you know what will happen? The rebellion will start. Whatever. Stellar Skateboard. You're right.
Thank you.
Will he survive? I don't know. I don't care. Because what's going to happen is the rebellion will start and it will go into Rogue One and it will continue on into episode 4 of Star Wars. Like, I felt the same way about Obi-Wan, where I'm like, listen, Obi-Wan's going to live. Darth Vader's going to live. Leia's going to live. Luke is going to live. Uncle Owen is going to live. Like, I'm like, oh no.
For now.
They captured Leia. What's going to happen? Oh no. Reva's going after Luke. Is Luke going to make it? Oh, there's a fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader. What's going to happen? They're both going to live. That's what's going to fucking happen. Like,
well, in a previous episode, we talked about how when Reva was bringing, she was carrying Luke's body back to the farm, and they were trying to build this tension-filled moment of, is Luke alive? Did she murder him? And I'm like, do they all forget that we watched the movie? Like, we know how this goes down.
Yeah, we know what's going to happen here. Like, it's the same thing with this. Like, listen, the show. I was like, is this a movie or a show? It looks phenomenal, like cinematically,
than any of the other Star Wars shows thus far, Mandalorian included. Mandalorian has some great special effects. Obi-Wan was all right. Boba Fett was just a train wreck with special effects. This looks incredible. It looks beautiful. Yeah.
It looks like Rogue One. I mean, it looks phenomenal. It looks excellent. I'm sure the acting will be great. And this has always been my issue, is just the story. Like, the story to me will be absolutely meaningless because I don't give a shit how the rebellion started.
Right.
We know the Empire is imposing on people, and people decide to rise up against the Empire and fight back. We knew that in Episode 4, A New Hope, the very first Star Wars movie that ever existed. A band of rebels gets together to fight the Empire. I don't need to know the ins and outs of how that happened. I swear to God, if it's about trade routes or fucking trade disputes, or it's not. That's just me being a dick. But
I know.
I don't know. I get frustrated with this because I'm like, you have this giant piece of intellectual property in your stable. It's a cash cow, and you are choosing, in my opinion, the safest and the dumbest possibilities to expand upon. You spent God knows how much money on this show, and it looks phenomenal. I just don't care. I don't care about anything that happens in the story because I know how it ends. I know exactly how it ends. The rebels are going to get the show on the road. Saul Guerrero is there. Guess what? He's going to do some terrorist shit, and we know he'll make it to Rogue One, where he'll meet his end there. Spoiler alert. Like, it's just like, it was like, hey, check out this reveal. Saul Guerrero's back. I'm like, okay.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Like, I don't know, man. Like, I feel like
it was more or less just saying, hey, guess what? We got Forrest Whitaker again.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know, that reveal to me, it was like, okay, congrats. Yeah. We'll learn more about what sort of terrorist shit this guy's got going on. You know, like,
I think the thing that we talked about off mic that it was, Rogue One was such a unique movie because it was one of the few prequels that you and I have talked about that either of us can really remember. One of the very few prequels that worked because it didn't, at least in my mind, it did, like, you knew the information was going to get up to Leia. Leia was going to take it. Like, you knew where that side of it went, but the stakes for the characters were very real because you've never met these characters before, and it didn't follow any character. Well, save for maybe a few, but it didn't follow really any characters that you had any knowledge about. So the stake, you didn't know which way it was going to go for these characters. Are they going to make it out of this alive? Is one of them going to make it out of? They both get, like, no clue how it was going to play out. So in that way, in that capacity, I think it was a rare prequel that worked. They figured out a way to make it interesting. And then they took it and they put it right back into the pit that the Sarlacc pit that every other prequel falls into with this show. Is like, you're going to introduce some new characters, but we know the main character who this follows is fine. So again, It doesn't matter. All these ancillary characters, they don't matter because even if they survive, they're not in the movie. So we don't give a shit about them.
Yeah.
So it sucks because you're like, guys, you had it. You had it with Rogue One. Leave it alone. You don't need to do this.
I'd also argue Rogue One was so great because it was the first time we didn't focus on the Jedi.
Yes.
It was a bunch of rebels doing rebel shit, and it was very interesting. Was first of all, the teaser for that movie was phenomenal. It was incredible. And I was excited because I'm like, holy shit, this isn't focused on Jedi, and I'm interested. I'm very interested what's going to happen. And obviously the Darth Vader sequence they had at the end of that film was tremendous. Absolutely.
it was very cool.
It was jaw-dropping. But yeah, it was great. They also did a wonderful retcon to fix, the whole exhaust pipe shit from episode 4. Everyone was like, Jesus Christ, why did anyone in the engineering department build some sort of vulnerability? It turns out someone on the inside did it to fuck over the Empire. Like, what a great creative way to go back and sort of retcon that. And they're like, yeah, but what if we figured out more about those guys and how they got into Rogue One? It's like, we don't need to know that, man. We don't. We know because all I see from the trail is like the Empire's doing shady shit. Of course. They're being oppressive. Of course they are. These people have had it up to here. They're going to fight back. Of course they are. Like, it's just, I personally don't need to, again, when I say this stuff, I understand some people are jazzed about it. I'm excited for them. I hope they enjoy it. I will probably watch some of it. I don't know if I'll watch all of it, but I have barely any interest in this show at all. It's just, it seems like a wasted effort when you could be doing so much else with this property.
I like, to your point about like, we don't need to go back and see how, X, Y, and Z started. Like, all we need to know is we drop into 4, these people are here and shit's going down. There's something fun in a story. Sometimes it's nice to know the backstory, and you can learn that through either flashbacks or exposition in the original movie, depending on what movie it is. But sometimes it's nice to just catch up, just jump into the action and just play catch up. Like, okay, what do we know? We know that these people are rebels and they're fighting an empire. Let's rock and roll. Let's just do it. You don't always need to go back. It's the whole midichlorian thing. You don't need to go back and explain it. Just let the Force exist. You don't need to explain why.
That's a phenomenal point. Like, we learn, like, people talk about like that opening scene in Star Wars: A New Hope so much because you learn so much visually from the size of the rebel ship versus the Star Destroyer. Like, there's so much symbolism that goes on from that, and you learn real quick just because of it's good storytelling. It's like, okay, these guys are bad, these rebels are good, they're fighting against this overarching, like, it's a simplistic thing that we could just hop on board and get to know. And then when you sort of dive into the minutia of it all, it's like, I just don't care. I don't need to know all the details that led up to this happening. I don't need to. I thought we got a lot more of that in Rogue One, which was satisfying. You got to see them actually oppressing a planet. You saw them like getting all those kyber crystals, and because of that, Saul is enacting terrorist attacks on them, guerrilla warfare. That to me, I thought was perfect. I'm like, because we didn't really get to see the Empire ever really oppressing anybody up to that point in time. And now it's like, yeah, but how do these guys become the rebellion? It's like, just chill it, okay? Cool it. We don't need this. We really don't. Do anything else. Let's try anything else. Let's see what happens. So, I don't know. Check out the trailer. I think the trailer is good. Tell us what you think in the comments. Are you excited for it? Do you think it's going to do well? Do you want to see anything else? Are you, if you're pumped for this, why? I'd love to know, and I'm not here to shit on you. I would love to understand someone else's perspective. Maybe you'll flip a switch in my head. I don't know. Let us know. Yeah. You beautiful people.
The conversation's open.
Conversation's open. Which
you've got many ways to get to us.
Right. You can get to us on all our social medias at MindGate Podcast, or you can email us, mindgatepodcast@gmail.com. Other interesting.
Live stream.
Yeah, check the live stream. Chat with us live, like Matt Frabracci, who's like, the next prequel is watching Annie swim in his dad's balls. Yeah, but who's his dad, right? It was the Force. Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
We could watch the Force.
Immaculate conception.
Watch the Force, get its sandbags duct taped.
Yep, absolutely.
I'm down for that. Something else that I saw that was, in an article on GQ by Jack King was mentioning how the directors, the Duffer Bros, are retroactively editing Stranger Things. They're going back and changing. They went back and changed something in it, which seems innocuous, right? I think the whole thing was that they fucked up the character Will's birthday in season 1. Go for it. I think you know the backstory better than I do. Tell everybody what it
No,
is.
so season 2, episode 8, when Joyce is when Will's got the mind flare at him, Joyce is interrogating him in the shed in the back, and not interrogating him, she's trying to get him to remember, and she's like, your birthday is March 22nd. We did this, that, and the other thing, trying to elicit memories. And then, in season 4, I think it's episode 2, they when 11 is getting bullied at the rink, someone's videotaping it, and the date stamp at the bottom is March 22nd. And all the fans were up in a tizzy because they're like, you forgot Will's birthday. You forgot Will's birthday. Wow, how could it so sad? He's a tragic character, and now no one celebrates his day of birth. And so the Duffers were like, well, we don't want our fans to be sad, so we can fix this. And that's what led to this whole kerfuffle.
I've just been informed, this is why we love to do this live, that Salati said, I saw that was actually fake.
What was fake?
That them retroactively editing this is fake.
I mean, I haven't. I meant to go back to season 2, episode 8, and double check to see if they had. I'm sure we could figure it out real quick. Do we want to pull it up and watch it?
Apparently, they said this is from the website Missbar. Stranger Things writers deny rumor of retroactive editing. So
they said there have been other things that they said that potentially could have been edited. Mm-hmm. This one they very publicly spoke about on multiple. I've watched multiple interviews where they said that we might go back and they would change season 2, episode 8. They would make Joyce say May instead of March because the date in season 4 is very interesting. It is set up very interesting. Like, there's no way that they could change it in the new season, so they would have to go back to season 2. But I don't know. Yeah, they've talked very publicly about doing this, so I don't know. They can't deny it.
Quick, Snopes that shit. So they admit to George Lucasing the past, which I don't understand how that's different. Yeah, because I think another thing they were talking about was, I think it was a rumor that because I did hear this other aspect of it, which was that Jonathan Byers was sort of like stalking Nancy in the first season, like peeping outside of her window, taking photos. I think some people were like, hey, are you going to go back and fix that? Sort of situation. Supposedly they fixed the birthday thing. I think that's true.
That's what I understand, but I have not gone and independently verified that.
Yes. Let's see here. Yeah, that part I don't think is true, but I do think that they did change the birthday situation on it. So maybe the fact that we need to roll a 16 for their fireball to hit. Matt, fucking love you, dude. Glad you're here. That's very funny. Go back and be like, oh, we didn't roll high enough on that one. That fireball did not hit. That was bad. Bad. That's so good.
It's funny. You would think that someone, Stranger Things, set to re-edit Will Byers' birthday scene. There's so much hype around them prepping to do this. It is kind of odd that I don't see any articles that like just straight up say whether or not it has been done. That's very interesting.
Well, I think the overall concept of this is what's interesting.
Yes. Let's move past that.
We'll zoom out there real quick, but I do want to get credit where credit's due. If they didn't fucking do it, they didn't fucking do it or whatever. Because I think the Nancy Wheeler and Jonathan thing is. I think someone made a good argument because the people are like, man, this is really creepy. How are we supposed to be rooting for this guy? And I think they're like, hey, listen, characters are flawed. Okay.
Right.
I'm sorry, Matt. It's like, you don't need to roll for fireball. It's true. It's a dexterity save. That's what it is. Because you roll damage, and either you take full damage or you take half damage based on whether or not you make the dex save. So that's true. You don't roll for fireball. Fucking Matt, I love you, dude.
I was gonna say, I'm glad he said it because I was gonna say it.
I didn't want you say enough D&D stuff. I don't need to have you. Preach
I don't want to. I want to get off my high horse on that.
Right. I think what what's interesting about this is this article in GQ mentions that a lot of video games these days are released and then there are patches, right, to fix things that are not functional, which is a debate unto itself. I know EA games in particular get shit for basically selling $60 games that are not finished, that have ridiculous patches day one and whatever. But that's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is like back in the old days, like when you and I used to play games, the game shipped and that was it. If there were bugs, tough titties. Like
That's it.
If there were game-breaking bugs, that sucks. If they were glitches that helped you win the game, so be it. You either took advantage of it or you didn't. Like, that's how it was. Now,
bouncing in Halo 2.
Right? Yeah. Now people can, the companies can go back and they can patch stuff. And so I think the idea of having created a film or a TV show or things like that, I think that if people do have the ability to go back, see, I don't think it would be that easy to do that personally. I think that would be a giant pain in the ass. But we also did see that, Doctor Strange was at the end of WandaVision. They threw him in there, right? With that shadow. So I guess it's not that difficult. I just don't understand, what really, because when I edit shit and I have to re-export it, I'm like, fuck, it's a huge pain in the ass to do that. So but I'm not an expert in that field. So, but if creators do pull what Slotty called the George Lucasing, right, where they re-release things like Star Wars and they add or change things and it affects the overall outcome, should artists and creators have the freedom to do that?
It's an interesting dilemma, because part of me wants to argue that it's the art, like it's the Duffers' creation. If they want to go in and tweak afterwards, that who's to say they can't? Like that's still part of it's part of the art. Like it's their show. If a painter wanted to go in and touch up a spot on a painting, should he be allowed to do that? Like at what point does where do the rules get put into place?
That's a great question, because I think there's an argument to be made that at some point the artist doesn't own their art anymore. It's a collective ownership.
That's interesting.
To the point where I think that's why George Lucas got so much shit for the stuff that he added to Star Wars, because at that point, when he did that, people were like, hey, man, like we all own this now. And for him to be like, oh, by the way, Han didn't shoot first. People are like, what the fuck? Like it gave, to this day, it makes people angry, myself included, to be like, because it doesn't make sense why he would adjust that. He'd be like, hey, by the way, this guy's just a bad shot at point blank range. It makes Han so less cool because he did that. So I think at some point, I think South Park had the same thing about this. They made fun of this in an episode back then too, where you're like, you don't get to do this anymore. Like this isn't your thing. This is something that belongs to all of us at this point in time. Same thing like with a piece of art, right? If the Mona Lisa has been up there for as long as it has, and for some reason Da Vinci comes back and is like, oh, wait, I have an idea. We're going to put some freckles over here, and we're going to change her hair to blonde. People would be like, hey, whoa, chill out. That's not the Mona Lisa anymore. Like, we're Theseusing this kind of to some degree. Like, we're adjusting this. And, it's at some point, I don't know. For me, maybe it's a certain amount of time that it's out there. And stuff I think at that point becomes a collective piece of the world. I don't know. That's kind of a weird way to put it.
I understand what you're saying. JF Potty Plant says that all artists revised masterpieces. Paintings were painted over for centuries. # just saying. And Matt says it makes the study of art very hard if everyone keeps updating to fit with social norms. Can't learn anything from anything, as there is no trail.
That's a good point too, right? I mean, if we go back and watch some comedies from the 90s.
Yeah. Look, I'm sure there are things that certain artists would love to go ahead and just record over, pop the VHS in there, hit record, and just record right over it.
Now listen, I'm not excusing any bad behavior, but I do think there needs to be some consideration for the time. Like what was allowed at the time. Like it's people should look at something in the 90s and be like, look at this. Look at Ace Ventura. Ace Ventura does not age well in a lot of ways. Ooh. It really does not age well. If you were to show that today at a college, I'm sure there would be some problems.
Needless to say.
Sheer lack of understanding of trans people. and villainizing them. I mean, the way they treat gay people in that film is not good. You know, a lot of that stuff, not okay. That was very normal in the 90s. That type of humor was 100% on brand. Like, people were like, yes, like that was totally cool. So I think there does need to be some sort of, you know, I'm with Matt on that one, in that, hey, listen, it is what it is, right? Like, at the time, as long as it was made in earnest, even if it's wrong, right? It was made in earnest. Like, this is what culturally we are allowing. I think we need to have it stand there so we can look back and be like, yeah, that wasn't cool.
Right. Well, along those veins, like in Bill Burr's latest stand-up, have you had a chance to watch that yet?
Yeah.
He's got the great bit where he's talking about how people were trying to cancel John Wayne a few years ago. And he's like, oh, you mean to tell me that a guy born in the 1900s said some shit in a titty magazine in the 70s that you don't agree with in 2020? Like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, no shit, you don't agree with it. And it was, you know, again, not excusing what he said, but you have to take it in context. Like, this is a guy who was born in a very different era, saying something in a periodical from a very different era that the context around it makes sense. So
yeah,
I don't think, but again, it's interesting that we have that. If they were able to go back and edit that Playboy article, you know, I think I do agree that I do think certain things need to be left alone. If there's some, I don't know, but so now we take all of that and we go back to the Duffers and say, is it really hurting anything if they go back and put the word May in her mouth out instead of March? Like, is there a line that where it's okay? Like, is there a line that can be crossed? Like, that seems pretty nothing.
I think it's the idea of, there's the idea of, like, there's a potential slippery slope here, right?
Sure.
If a bunch of douchebag nerds are being like, well, technically you got the birthday wrong, I think they should change this, and blah blah, and they do it, right?
Right.
And they change it, then that kind of gives these douchebag nerds some power, right? They're like, well,
the fans a lot of power,
right?
Yeah.
So, and at the same time, it's an easy fix, right? That's something you can real quick go back and just adjust. It's no big deal. Like, that's a quick fix to fix continuity, you know? And, and so that's fine. But also, I get really pissed off with people who get nitpicky over continuity errors. Like, I understand from an editing perspective, like, continuity falls like third or fourth on the list for how you edit, right? Like, that is going to happen. And I get, now there's some things where you're like, whoa, that's egregious. There was not a script supervisor there paying attention. Right. And we totally fucked that up. Like, if it's so bad that it's a plot hole, then yeah, we've got a problem. But if it's like, well, the light's on and then it's off and then it's on again, it's like, fuck you. Like, that's whatever. Like, it's, if it's glaring, like, hey, this shot's daytime, this shot's nighttime, this shot's daytime, it could be like, okay, there were some production problems there and you had to use what you had. So probably should have shot one for safety there, I would think. But, you know, but I get really annoyed. Like, that is something I wouldn't even have fucking rememred. I had no idea it was even a thing. You know? I was like, hey, wait, is it Will's birthday technically in March or May? I don't even remember what you said. That's how little it means to me. I don't even know what the right date is.
I would say I am in the camp, all said and done, I am in the camp of letting it alone. Don't change it because, again, two reasons. One, you put it out there. That's what you put out there. Let it sit. You know, a JF Potty Plant actually sums this up perfectly. Every time you edit it, it loses something. Small flaws make it what it is.
Yeah.
So you put it out there. Also, take the time to get it right the first time. Like, you don't get to go back and edit it. How about that?
Yeah.
If you put a movie out in the theater, you know, and there is a giant continuity error, it's out in the theater. It's not like you can go patch movies that are in the theater.
So say if you put it on the movie, there's a giant cock. I was just like, what? Yeah.
If you splice in, like Brad Pitt in Fight Club, if you splice in giant dongers in there, then the giant dongers live. That's all it is.
That's where it is.
No, I just because the streaming services make it possible to go in and patch things. I didn't realize that this was so prevalent in the video game realm until I read that article that you sent. And so, because this is new for film heads, like for film buffs, this is a brand new world for us, but video game people have been dealing with this for years. And I'm sure there are some deep rooted feelings and thoughts and opinions on this. So it's new. This is a brand new area to traverse in my mind and try to make an opinion on. But I think right now I am of the opinion that just because the service allows you to do it doesn't mean you should. I think you what you put out is what you put out. Let it ride,
I think that's a good point, and I also think that it's a case-by-case basis.
Or lean into it and just say, guess what? Yeah, people forgot Will's birthday. He's a tragic character.
Yeah. Nobody cares. Why do you think he's crying so much in the recent season? The guy, nobody cares about him. Matt goes, woo, No Man's Sky. That game was a train wreck. Absolute disaster when it was released, and somehow through updates it's come back and people really like it now. But that's a perfect example of a game that was just like, what the fuck? What are you doing? I look at it as like, listen, I don't want to say straight up yes or straight up no, like across the board. I'm not a Sith. I don't deal in absolutes. But I think that in general, I abide, because again, I'm also someone like I like someone who bucks tradition and finds a new way to do things, even if it's a bit uncomfortable. If it makes sense, then let's do it. But again, when it comes to this stuff, it really needs to make sense. And it shouldn't be, oh, we can always, instead of like edit and post, we can edit and post,
Right. We can patch it.
Yeah, we can patch it, because that's actually a common argument with people with these games. You're like, you're making us pay this much money, it's not fucking done. Or you're launching DLC the day that it launches. It's already, you just give us that content. It's ready. It's there. Just give it to us. So it's the idea that you're making people pay for a game that's not finished yet. It leaves a bad taste in your mouth, and that has become the norm. So I think there's some concern that this would become the norm, where they're like, if we fuck up, we can always just go back and change it. Oh, if people don't like it, we can always just go back and delete that scene. We've seen that on Disney Plus stuff, right? They've gone back and edited some of the things, like some of the violence and whatever, and we're like, whoa, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Right.
Like, you can't do that. Like, don't do that shit.
Yeah, I think if it gets to the point where they're using it, because it sounds like some video game producers, some video game companies are using this to be lazy. They just want to get these things out. They want to churn them out, and we don't have time to make sure it's perfect. Let's just get the fucking thing out so we can get the next title out. And just it seems like they're speeding up the assembly line, and they're saying we can fix it later. If that is the case, and that's where the movie industry could go, then I'm very much against that. I say take the time to get it right and then put it out when it's ready.
Matt says early access games are doing his head in. If you're not familiar with that, Steam, there's like partnerships with developers where they do early access, where basically you can kind of get in early on in the development stage and you can play, you just knowing that there's going to be bugs and it's not finished yet. And specifically, he said Baldur's Gate 3, I'm frothing for about 2 years in early access. I'm just ... I fell for that because Baldur's Gate 3 is developed by a company, I think it's Larian Studios. They did Divinity Original Sin 2, which was one of my favorite games of all time. And I'm like, oh shit, this is essentially a Dungeons and Dragons game that they're building. I bought it like way early on, and they said this is a game that does not need to be in early access. Early access game is usually reserved for indie games to basically help them fund while they're still developing the game. This is a game I bought for $60 2 years ago.
Right.
They are still developing the game. This is absurd. And I played it, and it was buggy as shit because it wasn't ready yet. And I was like, I'll just wait. And I haven't played it since. I played it at the very beginning, and it's like, because they're constantly like adding all of this shit. I'm like, I think I just want to play the finished game because I don't want to test it. I don't want to see how it goes. In my opinion, it was barely playable in the beginning. Actually, I streamed it for one session, and it was glitchy as fuck. It was not good. You
paid $60 for that. That's nonsense.
And when it's all said and done, I'll own it, and I'll have it. Sure. I'll have it when it's fully completed. But there's no excuse to have a game of that caliber like go from where it was when they were like, here you go, here's the here we're basically just barely out of alpha, and you guys can help us play all the way through it. And it's like, I mean, some people probably enjoy that, some people enjoy that, but make that a closed beta for a prolonged period of time and have people test that shit. Like, I don't know, to me that just seems I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I kind of all over the board on it, but I'm with you, Matt. Bringing up Baldur's Gate 3, I'm like, ha, I fell for it. Haven't touched it since. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think long story short, we'll see where this stuff goes. I hope it doesn't become the norm with editing stuff that's already been released. But at the same time, I'm open to a situation where it makes sense.
I didn't realize, again, that it was the thing that you could do. I didn't realize Netflix allowed patching. We're just going to call it patching. But I didn't realize they allowed that. And I feel like the Duffers making note of that kind of blew the lid open on. I don't know how much Netflix wanted people to know that they were able to do this. You know, and I feel like the Duffers saying this is just like, oh yeah, that's, by the way, that's a thing we can do.
Yeah, we can.
Because what they did say is that they never. I think they said they did patch something very, very small on opening weekend, and they said Netflix allows people to patch, but never before on opening weekend. So they were the first ones to do that right up front. And I think that was, again, in my mind, I'm like, I don't know how common knowledge that capability was. So
and now y'all know.
Now that we have it, again, all the fucking nerdy fans, you know, and when we said, don't get us wrong, we're nerds, but when we talk about nerdy fans, you know, just to kind of reestablish what we're talking about, we're talking about the throat beards. We're talking about the ones who just make no sense with their existence. They are going to be clamoring for this stuff to happen.
Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure.
How long's your thing? Do we have time for another topic, or do we need?
No, I think we're gonna need to dedicate some time to this.
Got it. Okay. There's the intro.
Hey, we're moving on to the segment part of the show. We haven't done this in a couple weeks. I'm very excited. Welcome to another segment of Anime Out of Context. This is the part.
It's on the title of it.
This is the part where basically we take scenes out of anime and we do a cold read of it. In most of them, I put together the scenes. We did have a fan submitted one by Slotty. Thank you, sir, for doing that. This one is another one cultivated by me. And it comes from an anime that I did not enjoy. It's currently on Netflix. It's called Bastard with 2 exclamation points. Just so you know, there's going to be a lot of these from Bastard because in watching the 13 episodes that currently exist on there, I found a lot of moments where I'm like, this would be a great anime out of context. And Justin, I pared this down. Okay.
Jesus
I cut
Christ.
some stuff out for this. So you're going to be playing 2 characters, Justin.
Okay.
You're going to be playing Yoko, who is a late teen girl, daughter of Gio Noto Soto. She has the ability to summon an evil wizard with a kiss. All right. You can think of her as sort of like steadfast, you know. These are my notes for you as we go to this. So you can think of how to play them, right? Like she's not really a wimp or anything like that. She knows she has a duty to do and things like that, but she's very big on, you know, like she's a strong female, you know? And the other one is Dark Schneider. And Dark Schneider, the names in this are one of the reasons why I'm like taking notes on what to pick. All right. Dark Schneider is an extremely powerful and equally arrogant dark wizard who wants to conquer the world. So, with that in mind, Justin, this comes from season 1, episode 2, entitled Rampage. Let's go with this scene. Here we go. A large group of advisors and soldiers huddle together in the throne room of a castle, afraid, as large explosions can be heard nearby. Yoko, we need Dark Schneider. Wizards like him are adept at using spells that can best other magic users and monsters. Dark Schneider is our only hope for winning here, which is why we need you to do your part and awaken him.
Excuse me? What about retaining my purity? Don't I have a say in this?
It's a kiss. Quit overreacting.
Are you really going to talk to your own daughter that way?
Loud thudding and crashing sounds can be heard. They are getting closer. The soldiers and advisors whimper in fear.
So this is my life. Well, I really don't have a choice, do I?
Yoko turns to an 11-year-old boy, Lucian, who is looking at her confused. Your face just got super red, Yoko!
Yeah? So, using this spell takes a lot of concentration, all right? Just shut your mouth and sit quietly.
Okay!
I have a favor to ask. Could you maybe close your eyes, please, just for a minute?
Sure, if you want!
Accept this. In the name of Inomata, our beloved goddess of beauty, please break now this seal.
Yoko leans forward and kisses an 11-year-old boy on the lips. Gross! Dark magic surrounds the two. Smoke and wind fill the chamber. Something is happening. Is she using tongue? We hope not, but who can tell? The smoke clears and a tall, muscular man stands before everyone, buck fucking nude. His muscles ripple and long white hair flows in the wind. Wait, why is there wind here? It appears the boy has transformed.
I have returned!
Amazing, amazing. We are so grateful to have you back with us, Dark Schneider. Our kingdom is on the brink of crisis, and we need your help. We'll give you anything you want in return. So go and use your magic to annihilate the enemy. Hurry! That's you, bud. I can't hear you. Oh, okay. Hold on. Everyone stand by. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. Something just cut out, and that's okay. That's okay. Because when things go wrong, we go strong. That's something my old pappy used to say down on the farm. We used to raise lambs and sheep, and we'd shear them. And you know a joke that my old English professor used to say in college? He goes, hey, do you know why the Scottish, wear kilts? It's because the sheep can hear a zipper coming from a mile away. And he turned to me. He's like, Doug, your last name's Scottish, isn't it? I go, yeah. He just sort of like winked at me, and I was like, oh, okay. I see what you did there, you bastard. So, yeah. Speaking of bastard, that's the name of this anime, which you can currently watch on Netflix.
And you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
All right.
All right. I'll take us back.
Great.
Here we go. You ready? We're
Yes.
so grateful to have you back with us, Dark Schneider. Our kingdom is on the brink of crisis, and we need your help. We'll give you anything you want in return. So go and use your magic to annihilate the enemy. Hurry!
I think I'll pass.
What? What did you say? You bastard! That's the name of the show. I'm a minister, so you have to listen to me. Who do you think you are, huh? Such an ungrateful swine. I said I would give you whatever you wanted, so tell me what your price is.
You really want to know what I want? Listen up, you geezers. I want everyone on this planet to bow down to me, and that's not all. Hey, great priest, I want your head on a platter.
Don't just stand there. Guards, capture that man. Several soldiers charge Dark Schneider. Dark Schneider's eyes grow wide with anger.
Guns in roses!
Dark Schneider raises his hand as he speaks, and the room fills with flames as soldiers scream.
Gio Noto Soto, 15 years ago, you were one of the 5 knights who got in my way just as I was about to conquer the world. Not to mention, you're also one who sealed me away after I was reborn. Well then, great priest, now we're here face to face. Looks like it's payback time.
It's been a long time, hasn't it, Dark Schneider?
You're starting to show your age. I'm sure you've enjoyed your life so far, and if you haven't, too bad. It's time to die.
The room grows dark as Dark Schneider begins to cast a spell.
Slayer! Balmore! Oh, lightning of the darkness!
That spell he's using. It's a lightning spell.
Die, old man!
Alel Namu Rabin. Oh, spirit, I ask you to be my shield. Striper!
Balvolt!
Lightning shoots from Dark Schneider's hands, striking where Geo stands. As the smoke clears, Geo is surrounded by a white sphere.
Huh?
God protects all his children who faithfully serve him, which means your dark magic is ineffective against me.
Ugh, an anti-magic shield, huh?
Your spells are useless. They won't be able to break this barrier.
Then your spells can't go through it either, you idiot. You consider it works both ways? I guess that means we'll have to switch to hand-to-hand combat, as I recall.
Not only am I a priest, I'm a warrior monk! I'm highly skilled, level 120 in the art of the Holy Steel Fist. Surrender. Not even someone like the great Dark Schneider can keep using spells without some sort of catalyst. Plus, I have this barrier, remember?
Stop lecturing me, you old man.
Dark Schneider slashes his wrist, spilling blood onto the ground.
I once heard that something about there being a golem hidden deep underground below Meta Licana Castle. It's the same exact one I used, the Metallica Castle. It's the same exact one I used in the war 15 years ago.
Oh no! He's opening the magical channel to the golem!
Mortal. Delu Fas. Oh, my loyal servant. Heed my call. Your master asks you to serve him once more.
Hey, he must be stopped! We cannot let him cast that spell!
It's far too late for that. This spell has been cast. Now awaken, Golem. Rise from your prison and come to me, my servant. Do my bidding. Use your power to destroy anything that dares stand in my way.
Red runes form beneath Dark Schneider's feet and the room grows red. The ground trembles as a gigantic stone creature punches through the floor and stands at Dark Schneider's side.
What do you think, Geo? You may be able to block my magic with that barrier, but you can't block my golem's kick. And its kick weighs 1,000,000 tons. So good luck trying to survive it. It's over for you now, great priest. Time to meet your maker.
A wall to the castle explodes as a 5-headed hydra crashes through. On top stands a man. You were in the castle like I knew you'd be. So it's you, huh? You're the wizard who supposedly defeated Osborne. Why don't you prove it by showing me just how powerful you really are? I am the great, powerful Kevidubu. I am a disciple of the almighty wizard Kal Su of the Dark Rebel Army, and I've been destined to conquer the world. Behold your future ruler. The Dark Rebel Army is a force to be reckoned with. Allow me to show you. If you're expecting an easy fight, then you should run. Dark Schneider looks down at 2 of his fingers. There's the tiniest amount of blood.
That hurts. You're gonna pay for that, pig face.
Pig face?
Look, the debris from your stupid interests cost me to bleed. The loser like you has absolutely no right to threaten a dashing young hero like me. I'll kill you for that. So get your ass down here right now. I'll show you a force to be reckoned with. Let's go, fish lips.
Kevidubu looks visibly shaken. I don't have fish lips.
What
And scene.
the fuck is this show? Oh my goodness.
Just telling you, there's a lot more to come from this show.
Oh, I can't wait.
A lot more to come from this show.
I'm hoping that whatever Slotty just posted in the
It's a clip.
chat,
It's a clip from you
is
talking.
it the clip that we just did?
It's a clip from what we just did.
Oh, fantastic. I gotta open that up and
save it for later.
I gotta
And
pause
its
it. Kick weighs
and its kick weighs 1,000,000 tons.
Oh, sorry. It's a clip.
Yeah.
Got it. I thought it was a clip from the show. It's a clip of us.
Yes.
I understand.
Yes.
Got it. Never mind.
Yeah.
I don't
this show is batshit, and remember, I think I told you in pre-production that I was upset because I wanted you to say all the insane stuff.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And I had you say a lot of it, but I had to say some of it, which also was fun to have you listen to and respond to. As you were like, oh my God, I'm a 120, level ultimate steel fist fighter,
It's the exposition. Like, no one talks this
Dude,
way.
it is It is
Oh
so
my
annoying, I think, in a lot of ways, like listening to this stuff because they
it's
repeat
so amazing.
themselves. In particular, when Gio's talking about, he's like, I'm a priest, I'm a warrior monk, yada, yada, yada. Plus, I have this barrier, remember? Like, he just cast this barrier. They're talking
Right.
about what they can and can't do. And he's like, we can fight. And remember, I have this barrier, right? It's like, we can see it visually, too. It's around you the whole time. Like, you don't have to, like, call it out and be like, plus, we got this thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it is
Man.
insane. It's absolutely insane.
Woo.
So if you like
That's
that, just know there will be more bastard anime out of context episodes, like segments, that will absolutely be happening. And some of the notes I unfortunately gave myself was like pretty much anything from this whole episode is what I told myself. I go, because anytime they say this fucking word, it's going to be laughable. So have fun.
And I'll put it back onto our audience. Every time we do this, I'll put it under our audience. But again, if someone wants to take the audio from what we just did and sync it up to clips from the show, or if you'd like to reanimate based off of the voices and our performances we did, or even like stop motion animation, whatever you want to do, we're down for it. So that is that is out there and a challenge to all of you.
Yes, absolutely. And by the way, I want to say nice choice with Dark Schneider. That is not what I expected, and it was very funny.
There was three ways that as soon as I saw the name Dark Schneider, it was either going to be a small Jewish man, it was going to be Fred Schneider from the B-52s. Big sign.
Oh my God, that would have been amazing.
Dark Schneider.
Oh my God.
Hold on, let me just look at one.
Then your spells can't go through it either, you idiot. Did you consider?
Then your spells can't go through it either, you idiot. Everything would be sing-songy,
right?
Or I was gonna go like a more like then your spells can't go. Optimus Prime-y,
Sure. Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? This one seems fun, so we're gonna go for it.
It was very fun because after seeing the anime and then hearing you do that, I'm like, that is totally not that character, and that is way better. I like that choice very much. This is fun. I'm here for it.
Dark Schneider just sounds like like Theodore Schneider, like some dude's name.
My favorite part was hearing you say Metallicana, which was very fun.
Is that what it was?
Because this show is based. The guy who wrote it has a strong love for heavy metal.
Yeah,
so
there you go.
There's a lot of references. Guns N' Roses was a spell.
That was a spell. I didn't know why I was just shouting that.
Guns
out.
N' Roses.
Like this. He's got Tourette's. That's Guns N' Roses. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of references to bands and things like that. Like Osborne was a wizard, probably Ozzy Osbourne, like stuff like that. It's bonkers.
Okay,
it is a batshit show.
That connects.
Which I didn't enjoy watching at all. But as I was watching, I kept watching because I'm like, this could be good fodder for anime context.
Yeah.
And by God, I threw myself on that grenade for you all. So you're welcome.
I love it.
Yes.
You're the hero we need and deserve.
Well, that was a fun segment. I always enjoy doing it. Looking forward to doing it again very, very soon. In the meantime, Justin, what do you have to recommend for this week?
So on Hulu, you can watch it. It is a show called Dope Sick with Michael Keaton and a bunch of other actors. The rival doctor in Doctor Strange plays Richard Sackler. So Dope Sick is about the rise of the opioid problem and how Purdue Pharma, which is owned by the Sackler family, invented and pushed OxyContin. It's so hard to watch because you just see how soulless these people are, and how other people on the right side of this are fighting to expose and to prosecute and to litigate against, and just all the roadblocks they keep running up against. And it's a very frustrating show, but super well done and fascinating at the same time. So I would strongly recommend. It's I think 8 episodes, and I think Michael Keaton's up for an Emmy this year because of it.
Nice.
But yeah, it's a good. The one criticism I have is they time jump back and forth, like present day 2002, 97, back to 2002, 2004, 89, like to tell the story, they're jumping around a lot. And that tends to get a little confusing from time to time. But after about the second episode, I just resigned myself to go, cool, whatever. I understand the general chronology of this story. Whatever year they tell me it is, I'm just going to go with it. And I'm not going to, don't get too wrapped up in that, but definitely watch the show. It's good.
Very cool. I think it's based on a book that Jill read, because I remember her telling me about all that crazy shit.
Right.
And I was like, that's awful. It's like, yeah. It's a lot of fun to read.
Yeah. What do you got, Dougie?
I'd recommend the most recent episode of Bad Friends featuring Will Sasso and Chad Kultgen from Dudesy.
They were on Bad Friends?
They were on Bad Friends, and it was just endlessly entertaining because Bobby Lee and Will Sasso both used to be on Mad TV together, so they know each other very well. But it was great because it was the silliness, plus Chad Kultgen is he has very strong opinions about what AI is going to do in the future. And they had some very fun discussions and hilarious discussions about where things are going to go, what comedy is going to be like in the future. He made a thing like, he goes, in the future, we'll be able to say, I want, Lenny Bruce doing jokes about inflation. And an AI will be able to generate jokes and in his voice, and you'll be able to hear that. And they both were like, "Oh my God, what do we do? Should we just quit now? Like, should we run for the hills?" And of course, Will's like, "That's bullshit. You won't." It was very, very, very entertaining. I love that show anyway, and they're all very funny guys. So it's the most recent Bad Friends episode. Check it out wherever you listen to your podcast. It's on YouTube too if you want to watch it. So highly, highly, highly recommend it. It tickles me. It tickles me feathers, and it sands my bags, and it needs to be duct tape. So there you go. Gang, thanks so much for tuning in. We appreciate you. Please don't forget to check us out on youtube.com/mindgappodcast. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. Drop us a comment down below if we said something stupid or said something you agreed with and you want to chime in. Please write something down there. It helps with the algorithm. Keeps us alive. We appreciate you. Also, don't forget to check us out on all our social medias at Mind Gap Podcast. We live stream the podcast Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central, and we live stream the video game stream on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central. No video game stream this Saturday, which will be August the 6th. So just keep that in mind. I won't be here because I'll be with Justin.
Yay!
In person. So please check us out there. And Justin exists digitally as well.
On Instagram and Twitter at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean.
Good pods.
All the places where you can find and consume quality podcasts. You can find and consume us. And then, subscribe, rate, review, share, all those things. Big one is sharing. Let people know we exist. It's the only way, like Tinkerbell, it's the only way that we'll survive. And then 2east8th.com, and keep an eye on all of 2east8th's social medias.
Yeah. Thanks so much, gang. This was a ton of fun, as always. We appreciate you. Seriously, listening to us and everything like that, it means the world to us. We love our community, and we're happy to see it growing, slow and steady, and you all are great. So thank you for tuning in, as always. So with that being said, I want to say, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Chat, thank you.
Listeners, thank you.
And you all have a dandy fucking week. Recording stopped. Shout out to Zinni, Slotty, Matt, and JF Potty Plant. Y'all, Matt, like in particular, you're hilarious, man. We love having you around here. You're great. Potty Plant, thank you for joining the Discord, man. Like, it's been fun chatting with you in there. You're great. He's a lot of fun to hang out with on Discord. He's very, very cool.
He's a lot of fun to hang out with in person too.
I bet,
especially on a bus trip to Disney World.
What? I'd love to hang out with him. He'd probably pack all the best snacks.
Yes,
for an 18-hour trip down to that wonderland.
He's well equipped now to do that.
Oh, for sure. He could get you the hookup. So thank you all for tuning in and chatting with us. It means the world. I love getting derailed by the chat, especially when it's something really, really good. And it was full of comments where I'm like, hold on. We got to read this out loud because this is really good. So working from home now so I can evolve again. Yeah! You scored working from home. Is that what you like doing? Or is that kind of like because I know some people working from home is like, I love working from home, so it allows me to do a lot of things. So, shh, don't talk about that trip. Oh, band trip to Disney World.
I have no idea what happened on that trip. So,
look at you sticking with a plan. Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I love it. All right, gang. I got to get up at 4 a.m. to smoke a pork butt, so I'm out of here until next time. So, thank you. Anyone seen The Bear Hulu? I've heard about it.
Oh, that's on my queue. I had so many people tell me to watch it.
New job, Matt. Congratulations on the new Bob. I'm tired. New job. I'm happy for you. That's awesome. Always exciting to get a new job. Hopefully it's better. Hopefully it pays better. Hopefully it's got better benefits. Hopefully everything's better. You know.
Mm-hmm.
God bless you, sir. God bless America. It feels gross to say that now, but that's just me. Anyway, what a way to end the stream. Love you all. Stay safe. We'll see you next time. Kisses, loves, heart hands, all that shit. Bye.